Hello and welcome back to another podcast episode of Stoke Fan TV with myself, Max.
Me, Sam.
And our guest today is Tom. Welcome, Tom. Welcome back to the show. You've probably seen Tom before. He knows his stuff. Now, before we get into it, would you all do us a big favor and hit the pause button, the like button, and the subscribe button as well, if you could, because it makes a world of difference. We get a lot of people watching these shows, but not everybody clicks the like button. Sometimes we're getting like 3,000 views and only like 100 likes. So if you could just click the like button, if nothing else, we'd really appreciate that. But thanks anyone, thanks everybody for watching. We really appreciate it. Right, so we're going to get into today's show, and Stoke's bubble has been burst slightly by the baggies. We have to change the t-shirts from "we always beat the baggies" to "we always used to beat the baggies," but that's okay because we're going to get into it a little bit. And also, we have to ask the question: how much was the ref involved in this? There was some decisions there that went against us that could potentially have cost us the match. So we're going to be discussing that, hence the title of this show. So the first thing I think we need to do, lads, is I know you both watched the game, but we need to. I think we just need to get into that straight away because I think the first thing we'll do is we'll watch back the a clip of the goal to start with. So the ball obviously comes into the box. Vic goes for it. Is there any contention there? Because when I was watching that first, I thought, oh, he's got both hands to it. Who wants to jump in on that? Anyone got any thoughts on that?
I didn't at the time think that there was anything wrong with the goal. I think it was a poor decision by Victor Johansson to try and go for the ball, and he did it on multiple occasions, really. And it was a shame that it was only that cost us the game, really.
To the box, he's going for it, isn't he, with both hands? But it doesn't seem to me that he manages to get both hands to clean contact on the ball. Tom,
He
would you
drops
would
it.
you? Yeah, I think he kind of palms it down. Tom, would you agree? There's not really any contention with that goal.
No, no, no. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I know that keepers get a lot of protection nowadays, but there's nothing wrong with that for me. He's put his hands up to get it, sort of like that. And for those listening, I put my hands up. Um, the ball sort of, I think he's possibly a bit taken aback by how powerful the corner is because he has sort of put a bit of pace on it, and it's just bounced out his hands and landed to Phillips. No, nothing wrong with that for me.
No, and I don't think we just can't be harsh on Vic, can we? He rarely makes mistakes, and he saved us so often in the past. I think we have to say, it's one of them. At the time as I was watching, I thought, oh, he's got both hands to that. I tell you what, though, right? Okay, let's go past that now because we know poor old Vic, unfortunately, is going to palm it down. In the run up to that goal, right? I just want you to watch this clip, and that's the clip of the cross coming into the box because as you can see, right, the ball comes in from the wide position, but just look at Cresswell at that back post. Surely that is a foul. Surely he gets pushed in the back there in the box. I mean, the ball then comes across and it's a great clearance by Llewell. It's fantastic. But I'm looking at that and I'm thinking that's a foul, right? Surely, Sam, what do you think? Is that a foul?
Yeah, I've watched it. I think Creswell's not got the best position in there personally for it. I think he's trying to buy the foul. He's very low down. He's not standing straight. He's not looking to use his strength to get the ball. I think he's trying to find an easy option to go down to draw it.
Do you think that's what it is? I don't know, man. I mean, there's clearly two hands in the back there, isn't there?
His two hands there, but I don't think it's a push in the back. I think he's made it look like a push in the back because he's gone down low. And obviously, the players use his hands to try and raise himself up because we use the hands on the back of players to jump up, don't need to get higher on the headers. But Creswell's too low down. I think it's more Creswell's positioning for the ball coming in than a push more than anything.
Okay, I mean, his position is a bit questionable. Tom, go on, what's your take on that, mate?
For the sake of content, I'd love to disagree with Sam, but I couldn't agree more with him. I think Cres has used every single bit of his experience there, and I think he's gone. I think he's gone for use all his experience and he's tried to buy a free kick, knowing that
Right.
the ball's going back in, it's going to get cleared off. We get a free kick, it takes pressure off. I don't think it's a foul. I can see why you do, mate. I can see why you do. Completely, completely. And I think it's one of them where if it was the other way round, we'd be screaming, well, that's a foul, or that's never a foul, depending on which way it comes from. I just can't see any ref. And we know what the refs in the championship are like. They'll blow up for anything. But if you're giving free kicks for that, there'll be thousands of free kicks every single game.
Do you know what? This is the first point of contention. Obviously, Stoke fans, were you there? Were you watching? What do you think? You've seen the clips. I'm not sure. I think it could have been a foul, but what do you lot think? And maybe as I said, it was one of those where you could be on the fence. So let us know in the comments. That's the first point of contention. There was others. There was others, and we're going to get on to that next because obviously the goal goes in, right? And then we're looking for a response. This is the next clip. Have a look at the next clip because the next clip is us coming up the pitch with the ball. Now, fantastic build-up play. I will say excellent build-up play and some nice one-touch passing. A lovely ball through from Baker. Um, and obviously, Chamadou's running onto it. The first thing I'll say is maybe Chamadou could have picked out Sorba at the back post, but we'll go past that and we'll look at the fact that the ball ends up at Mubama's feet and then he shoots, but ooh, does that go off his arm? Does that go off the defender's arm? Because I was watching it and I'm thinking that's handball, and Sorba's screaming for it. He's saying it's handball. Mubama kind of turns around and goes like that, like that. Oh, so I thought, right, okay, there'll be tons of angles for this. There'll be absolute tons of angles. Do you know what? There's none. There's like two angles, and they're all pants, and they're not in slow-mo, right? So that's kind of the best we do, though. Sam Cam has generously said we can use the angle that he got at the game, right? But I don't know. This one for me, at first, I'm like, oh, he stopped that with his arm. And it looks like it's kind of hit him there. I don't know that. All right, okay. I'm going to pass it over to you guys before I'm giving my thing, my opinion on this. Who wants to jump in with this? Does anyone think that's a penalty?
I can only go from that video that you've obviously shown us, and it does look like their defender makes a fantastic save.
So, Sam, you're thinking that it's the arm, dear?
Yeah, from that
Oh,
video alone, but that isn't enough for me to be able to say for certain because, as you said, it's the only angle we've got. You've had to slow mo that yourself. Like,
I slowed it right down. I mean, you have to think of Sam Cam's angle as well. I mean that, but then, what do we? I mean, Tom, what do you think, Tom? Do you think that's it's contentious, man? It's really contentious stuff.
I'm going to preface this with one, I'm not doing it for the content, and two, I promise you, I am a Stoke fan. I I at the time when I saw it, I thought it was fantastic from their defender. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it's hit him on the chest. I thought it's hit him sort of here on the shoulder. That was seeing it live. I've seen it back again, and I can't see any way where that's a handball. I think their lad at the back has done fantastically well.
Mm.
I've got to take my hat off to him because he's done so well for me for it not to hit him on the arm and for him to hit him sort of top or arm, shoulder sort of thing. Because you know what the rules are with handball now. It's everywhere. It's
Oh, this
below the
is it, isn't
sleeve.
it?
I think it's hit him sort of here, just above bicep onto shoulder blade. That's perfectly legal.
Mm. Well, is it? Well, is it though? Is that because then we had that recently with there was that contentious decision in the Prem and it hit him like here or something, and he had his arm there and it was handball.
I think it
Do you
goes
know
down
what
to you.
plenty of
I
red
think it's the
card.
bottom of your shirt sleeve, isn't it? But I mean, if that's the case, I
I mean?
don't know why we
Everyone's
don't all
gonna have
wear long
shirt
sleeve
sleeves on.
shirts. Yeah.
I mean, this is the contention behind this because at the time it felt like it was just it was Sorba and Mbama a little bit, and it's kind of just like it's you know it, at first I'm thinking, but it seemed like it wasn't really, or not loads of players were going up and saying handball, handball, handball. Is this a situation? I mean, could VAR have sorted this out? Probably not, based on what they seem to be able to do in the Prem. I don't know how they managed to mess it up as much as they do. There were just weren't enough angles, was there? I don't think there's enough angles
I think if
to.
you're going, I'm I'm going to support a ref here. I can't believe I'm going to say it. I think
It's okay.
if
Sure.
if VAR are going to get involved, the ruling for it is that it needs to be a clear and obvious error. Now, we've watched the replays of it hundreds of times between the three of us. We still don't know. So I think even if VAR got involved, obviously they'd have more angles and they'd be able to check better. But it's I can't see them overturning it and saying, yeah, that's a clear penalty because there's nothing clear and obvious there about it. We could have every angle under the sun, and I think we'll say one thing, West Brom fans will say other things. Some
Mm.
West Brom fans will say that it's a penalty, some won't. Some will also say it's a penalty, some won't. It's 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 a very similar situation to the Cresswell one for the goal because we can argue about it until the cows come out. It's ultimately doesn't matter anymore. We've lost. Boom.
Mm. Yeah.
But you've seen them given, you've seen them not given. It's you can't. I've seen a lot about the ref, and there are some very interesting decisions that he made in that game, which I'm very confused about. But I think the big ones in inverted
Mm.
commas, I think he's probably got right.
Well, this is it. This is the game of opinions, ladies and gentlemen. Sam, what do you think? Are you kind of agreeing with Tom? You thinking he got?
To be honest, I think it would have been very harsh if the referee gave that as a penalty without fully knowing 100%. And by the sounds of it, it seems as though nobody knows 100% what happened, and it would have been very harsh on West Brom if they had conceded a penalty to it.
Listen, right, Sam and I have done a show, I think it was last season, where one of the opposition players rugby tackled Berger in the box and threw him to the ground like WWE, right? And that wasn't given as a pen. And we talked about that. So I think it's good to talk about these things and obviously there'll be a lot of Stoke fans who are saying, oh, the ref, the ref, the ref. Well, you've seen some of the footage, you've seen what we've seen. Let us know what you think in the comments. Yeah, let us know what you
I
think.
think
Were
performance-wise, I think performance-wise against yesterday, if we talk about how well Stoke played, I think we actually didn't play too bad. I think it was a very, very close game. If you look at the stats, it was pretty even across the board. And we, as I said, we got unlucky to lose one goal to one mistake.
well, that's right. I think by the by with the ref then, by the by, it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, what happened with our performance? How comes, despite the one, because they created maybe a couple of chances, the baggies. But what happened with Stoke? What was the difference yesterday? Because obviously we're on a high from the previous games, and we're coming into it. And even though we're one nil down, was it just one of those games for Stoke? Because let's not forget we hit the post, and that was so unlucky. Mabon was so unlucky with that. It clipped the lad's heel into it and rolled onto the post. That could have easily gone in off the post. Obviously, Manu had a header at the back post. Junot had a chance at just one point. What was it? Tom, can you give us your thoughts? Why did we not manage to turn it back on its head? I know we're 1-0 down, but that was in the 14th, 15th minute.
Get the feeling off after watching us for the first few games that we are not a team that sits on the front foot much nowadays. I genuinely feel that we're a counter-attacking team, especially with the pace that we've got down the wings. We invite teams to press onto us, and then we hit them with the pace of Millie, Divine, Sorba on the wings. They went 1-0 up quite early, and just sat in, dug in. That's all they needed to do. They just needed to dig in. Now, the difference between them and Derby, for example, is they're a hell of a lot better team than Derby are. So we can we can push forward and we can attack, but they've got a lot better means to deal with it. Derby, when we played them, they didn't. But then I think if you look at like Chef Wednesday, the goals that we scored there. Um, one of the goals was from big clearance, Sorba's one-on-one, hit them on the counter, goal. Same with Southampton, down to 10 men, big throw out from Vic, Sorba's one-on-one, goal. Um, that's the way I see it, and I don't think I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't mind seeing us playing with sort of pace on the counter. But I do think that we need a couple more players in to maybe have that option that we can go on the front foot if we need to. It's interesting, especially with Robin's subs. He didn't make a sub till 80th minute, something like that.
It was a concern that the sub thing. How comes Sam? How comes he didn't make any subs until the 80th minute? Does he not have? Does he not? Do you not think he has confidence in some of those reserve players or those second team players to come in and make a difference?
Well, he saw him play Bradford the other day.
Yeah, yeah.
If
Is that what
that's
it is,
anything
though?
to go off, if that's anything to go off, no, I completely agree with what Tom's just said about obviously we've turned into a more pacey wing play sort of team. We've done that now every game this season, so they would have done the research, and I think they were marking Sorba with two mans at all times,
Mm.
and they were just constantly making it difficult for us to get down the wing. I think we were unlucky though. I think we did have a few good opportunities in the game. I think we actually played better than West Brom for the majority of the game. It's just they did really well at defending. I would have liked to have seen
Yeah.
substitutes come on, but realistically, who was on the bench besides maybe Donnelly that could have made much of a difference?
Well, he didn't bring Donnelly on at all, did he? And this is a concern for me in a way because I think we've got a bit of a conundrum in a way with Beijing Ho. I want to bring Beijing Ho into this and his role within the team because for a long time I've been saying I don't think Beijing Ho is a number 10. And I think, unfortunately for Beijing Ho, I think Sorba has come in and just shown how good a left winger he is. And I just don't think there's any way back for Beijing Ho on that left-hand side. So it kind of brings in a bit of a conundrum because I just don't think that Beijing Ho is a number 10. If you look at some of his passing from that game, his first half passes, right? You look at it and you look at that image and you think, for me, I think, right, as a number 10, where do I want my number 10 to be and what kind of passes do I want him to be making? I want him to be making passes in and around the opposition box or within, right, within a closer radius to the opposition goal for me, right? You look at the second half and similar kind of story and two shots all game, one blocked and one off target. Are we in a position where we've strengthened? Don't get me wrong. I think some of the signings we make are great. It seems like we've got a really good striker there in Mabama. And obviously we've got Sorba on that left wing. Million, I think, had a quieter game yesterday. I don't think he was quite at his best. But surely that number 10 position is that somewhere that we are is that somewhere where we are lacking? Tom, what do you
We,
think? Oh, Sam, go on, Sam. Sam, what do you
we,
think?
obviously, we've just signed Thomas Rigo. Obviously, he was announced before the game and came out. I believe he is a really good number 10. That's what I've heard. So potentially we might be seeing Thomas Rigo taking the position of number 10 in favour of Bae Jun-ho.
Is he a number 10? I wasn't sure if he was a bit further back, in the midfield.
Can play both, I believe. Can play. It's a nice conundrum to have because he can play centre mid, or like Sam says, he can play as a number 10. I can't see him playing as a 10. I can see Cisse playing as a 10. I can see us having Sorba, Million, and Cisse, and having all three of them swapping. And I'm going back to the good old days of Bojan, Shaqiri, and Arnautovic.
Be nice.
They never stuck to their positions. That was just the most fluid front three that you could have. And I get the feeling with Sorba, Manuth, and Cisse that that's what we're going to get.
Hmm. You think? Do you? Are we? Is anybody kind of saying that they think that Beijing is going to flourish in that role as a number 10. I like him. I think he's a good player. I just don't think the number 10 is a good position for him. Anyone disagree? Anyone want to say anything about that?
I'm struggling to see where Beijing Ho might end up getting into this team if he doesn't start playing a little bit better, really.
I mean, we looked at stats for Beijing Ho. Sam and I did a show on it. And one of the things that I was quite interested in is or I was praising him about was his ability to bring the play up the pitch. But that was from quite far back. That was quite, that was within his own half, and he seemed to be able to uh, bring the play forward. I think when I was watching the game yesterday, I wanted to see a number 10 that was linking up a lot more with our striker and sometimes overlapping our striker because I thought Mubama had a great game, really. I thought his press was decent. I thought he was brilliant at holding up the ball. He was interlinking, he was bringing players in. So I want to throw a name into the mix here for you that we've not spoken about, not many people have spoken about. What about Gallagher? Because we haven't seen anything of Gallagher yet, and yet he's injured a lot of the time. Could Gallagher fill that role of the number 10?
I'd be very surprised if Gallagher's still here at the end of tomorrow.
Oh, really?
Robbins, I don't think Robbins rates him at all. Even when he was fit, again in inverted commas.
Well, you say
Robbins at
that,
picking.
right? But he's referred to him as a racehorse. Robbins has referred to Gallagher as a racehorse in certain articles and saying that he needs to kind of use him sparingly because he doesn't want to knacker him out.
It depends if it's the horse's eye bet on. They always end up behind a flag with a shotgun pointed at them. That's the problem. It's that's the problem with racehorses. You either get an
Mm,
absolute gem or the worst
mm.
happens. And I get the feeling that I just can't see him getting into the team. I can't see him ever being fit.
It's the fitness, isn't it? Really, he's scored a few goals for us, Sam, hasn't he?
He scored a couple of goals for us last season. And yeah, fitness is the issue. And to be fair, he's not going to get in over the barber, is he? So
I suppose not. But then, have we been impressed so far by Bosnick? I haven't yet. I'm hoping that maybe he can turn that around a bit, but I don't know, man. I don't know. So yeah, I think that's it for in terms of like that number 10 role. I mean, like Sam says, Tom, is there any way for Bay to kind of turn this around, or where do you see him at Stoke City in the future? He's a young lad, so he's only 22. Does he need to just completely change his game? What does he need to do?
I I don't really know. I can't really put my finger on it because it's let's compare him to Seko. Sort of come from a similar sort of area, come over to England, played in the Championship. Seko last season, very lightweight, very easy to push off the ball. Yesterday, I don't think I've ever seen him as strong. He's really bulked up. He's really sort of got into himself, and he's really started learning how the game works over here. Now, if you compare that to Bay, I get the feeling that Bay's just not quite there yet. He's got the skills, he's got the tricks, and I think he would be very well suited to a Premier League club. He would, because he's got that pace, he's got the skills, he can take on a man, he can do what he needs to do there, and he'll have the freedom to do it. He won't get bullied off the ball. To play in this league, you can't do that. And I think he needs to bulk up. Confidence will be a big thing for him. I think once he gets one and the confidence is flowing through him, there's always the option. But you've got to bear in mind, 2 years ago, this is the lad that was, that we were all saying was the second coming of Christ. He was the
Mm.
next son, young men, and it's just not really happened for him. I hope he comes good. I really do, but he just needs to gain a little bit of confidence. He needs a little tap on the back, and he just needs to get a little bit of strength inside him, I think.
Stoke fans, what do you think to this? The number 10 conundrum. Would you play Bay there still? Do you think he's not necessarily right for that position? Do you think some of the other lads we've obviously mentioned there, some of the other lads, could they then fill in that gap? Is that where we're kind of I don't know. It just seems to me that that Stoke team is coming on, right? But there are still a few bits. I mean, one of the places how could we haven't mentioned Bose and Llewell. Could Bose and Llewell play in, that kind of more attacking role, Sam?
Potentially, he's got the strength, hasn't he? That obviously Bejo was missing. I just don't
Hmm.
think he's probably got the technical ability. I don't think some of his passes were that good yesterday. I think that's where he lacks in his game. Really, he's very strong. He's a very good centre back. I'll give him that. Going back
Mm,
to Bejo, I wouldn't be too against him going out on loan to another
right.
team to get that experience potentially, and maybe a League One team or something. Maybe a other Championship team, even if it's like a one that's just come up, just to maybe get that experience or give him that little boost.
I think it's a conundrum for me because I think he's got the talent and he's got the ability, but it doesn't seem to be translating onto the pitch at the minute. It's kind of like trying to tell Million Manus to go on the right hand side of a player, not go in on the left. You just want to say, just go that way. I mean, go that way. But he's just got this thing where he always go to it. And it seems with Bay, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. A confidence, because we've seen him fly past players a couple of seasons ago, like Tom says. We've seen him jinking in and out in that nice little pocket, just inside of the fullback, and then running at the goal and shooting. He had I don't think he had a very good game yesterday. I think he had the opportunity to hit the back of the net at one point. It was a tough opportunity in a way, but still, you want your number 10 to be putting him in the back of the net. We need a number 10 who's going to come in and be full of assists and a full of goals. We had it last season, didn't we? We had Moran in there. I think who else did we have in that kind of role? We played Kumas there from time to time. We obviously played Bay every now and then we sometimes when we played Gallagher in there, that's why I mentioned Gallagher. When we played Gallagher in there, but kind of behind Cannon, it kind of worked. And I just think that that's somewhere that Stoke need to look at, maybe potentially either before the end of the season, or we need to look at those players that we brought in, getting them in and firing. I think we're coming up towards the end of the show now, lads, because we've kind of reached our time limit, and we've discussed obviously the ref, and hopefully he's been watching and giving us a subscribe whilst he's there. Cheers, mate. And then obviously we've spoken about some of the other things. Bay's probably watching. He's definitely unsubscribed probably for some of our things, but no, subscribe again, Bay. We're not knocking you. We're just wondering what is happening. Where can we play you on the pitch? How do we get the best out of you?
Can I ask
Lads,
you a quick question, Max?
go on, Tom.
I've got a quick question based around what you were saying about strikers.
Hmm.
Would either of you take Tom Cannon back?
Oh, that's a question. Do you know what? I would take Tom Cannon back. Yeah, I think it's what the thing is, it's rare for a striker to come to Stoke and do better at Stoke than anywhere else. It's rare,
Yeah.
that is. And I think that he came to Stoke, obviously, and I know he banged in like 4 goals in one game, and that made
Yeah.
made up a lot. But he knew where the back of the net was. He felt. I think he felt confident at Stoke. I think he felt
Mm.
confident, and a confident player, especially as a striker who's in form. Like let's look at Mabama for example. Now people are
Yeah.
saying before he started the season, they're saying, "Oh, I'm not too sure about him. He doesn't know where the back of the net is," and yet he's found the back of the net a few times because his confidence is up, and once your confidence is up, your form going up as well. And now he's found the back of the net. How I'd take him back in terms of whether I'd pay for him or get him on loan, I don't know. It would be Sam in. Sam, what do you think?
Obviously, I'd have him back at Stoke because he knows where the goal is and the fans loved him. But there's no way that Sheffield United are going to loan now or sell one of their strikers in the situation they're currently in, especially to Stoke that are higher in the league than them. So I can't see it happening.
What do you think, Tom?
So it, the only reason I'm thinking about it is the conversation about number 10s. And I'm going to sound like Mike Bassett here. Get rid of the number 10. Get rid of the number 10. Have two up front. Divine up front with Cannon off him.
So you think play more as a, that kind of
Yeah, because
old-fashioned.
we've got the pace on the wings. So we've got Sorbs one side or Cisse or Manuf and same on the other side. Get rid of number 10. We've got a target man up there with Divine who we know is strong, he's quick, he's got a bit of skill, good in the air. Have him flicking things onto Cannon, who knows where the goal is.
Mm. Ooh. So yeah, there's the thing, isn't it? We could play that.
Mhm.
The only thing is with playing a system like that is you get the overload, don't you, in the middle of the park. That's why these teams play in the way they do nowadays. That's
Yeah.
why they play with that number 10. It's to get the overload in midfield. It's to get the three players, right? Because the other option we could do, right, is to switch from what we're playing at the minute, which is a double pivot. Obviously, we've got Seko and Baker in there as they seem like they're the first picks. But we switch it. So play with a single pivot and play with Seko as that single pivot and push Baker higher up the pitch because surely Baker's wasted as a holding mid, isn't he? Sam?
I think Baker's a more attacking and defensive player personally.
So you'd have him higher up the pitch. What about you, Tom? Would
Mm.
you consider that?
I'd have him higher up the pitch, but he needs somebody strong in behind him now. Whether that's Rigo or I mean, we've not even mentioned Nzonzi. I've got no idea how Nzonzi gets into this team at the moment. Um,
Well, we haven't seen
whether he's
enough of
got
him, have
somebody
we?
sort of strong. Well, no. Whether you've got somebody strong behind him, but again, like Sam says, Rigo's quite a handy attacking midfielder. So you could, do you drop Baker and keep Seko? As daft as that sounds, I know you can't really drop Bakes, but it's it's
Ooh.
it's a nice it's a nice headache for Robbins to have, I think.
It's a fantastic headache to have. It feels even though we lost the match against the Baggies, I'm not feeling too negative. I'm still feeling optimistic, which is a nice feeling, I think, as a Stoke fan. And even that, yes, 1-0, but do you know what? It could have easily been 1-1. It could have changed. That could have changed. I mean, we spoke about this during the Southampton game, and we said that Southampton hit the post twice and missed an open goal. We could have lost that game, could have drew that game. So I think you're right. You look at times. Unfortunately, it wasn't quite meant to be against the Baggies. But they're not a bad outfit. They're not a bad outfit. Right, lads, we've had a cracking chat today about various. I think we'll end it there. International break coming up. Couple of weeks. Hopefully, none of our players get injured during that international break. Especially, I know Mubama's been called up to the England under. Is it the England under 21s he's been called up
Yeah, with
into?
And
Phillips.
Ashley Phillips
And Ash
Yeah.
Phillips. So I'm
and Tommy
hoping that
Simpkin.
and so yeah, so we've got some players, but I'm hoping out of all of them, even though Ash Phillips is a great player, he's not starting at the minute. I think Mubama for me is I really don't want him to get injured, especially some of the form he's in the way he's playing. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We've got that coming up, but apart from that, I think that we're doing okay. And then when we come back, we can get back into it and hopefully carry on with the positive. Right. Just want to say a big thanks to Tom today for coming on the show, and obviously Sam as ever giving his opinions on it all. So if you've got any opinions or you want to leave a comment, please do. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button whilst you're there. And it's a goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from me.
And there's only three of us, so it's dead easy to do that. We'll see you all in the middle of the international break. I don't know what we're going to talk about. Maybe we've made some even more signings or something like that during that a little bit of transfer, and then we can talk about that. But yeah, we'll catch you all next time on the next podcast episode of Stoke Fan TV. Go on, Stoke.